You know that person who always has the lights low, the phone on silent, and an excuse ready for why they can't make it tonight. The one who genuinely looks forward to Sunday the way other people look forward to Saturday night. The one who gets home, closes the door, and finally breathes. That person is not boring. That person is not broken. That person's nervous system is doing something most people's never learned to do. And if you smiled just now reading that, we both know who we're talking about. Because here's what nobody tells you about the people who love staying home. It is not about avoiding the world. Your brain is running a completely different cost-benefit calculation than most people's, and the reason it arrives at a different answer every single time is neurological, not personal. There is also a specific point at which preferring home stops being a strength and becomes something else entirely, a line most people never identify because they do not know what to look for. By the end of this, you will know exactly which side of that line you are on. But first, here is the mechanism that makes staying home feel like coming back to yourself. Every social environment generates sensory data, noise, movement, facial expressions to decode, conversational subtext to track, status signals to read, the emotional states of the people around you bleeding into your own nervous system through a process called emotional contagion. For most people, this data stream is manageable, sometimes energizing. For people whose nervous systems sit at a lower optimal arousal threshold, the technical term for brains that reach their processing limit faster, that same data stream is not energizing. It is expensive. Plain English, your brain does the same social processing as everyone else's, it just charges a higher metabolic price for it. And home is not where you hide from that cost. Home is where your nervous system stops paying it. Here is what is happening neurologically when you walk through your front door. Your amygdala, the brain's threat detection system, receives a familiar environment signal. Known layout, known sounds, known light levels, known temperature. Every variable it was scanning for risk in public resolves to safe. In that single moment, your amygdala hands control back to your prefrontal cortex. Plain English, the part of your brain that has been burning energy monitoring the environment for threats stands down, and the energy it releases goes back to you. That exhale you feel when you get home is not weakness. It is your threat detection system powering down. Research from the University of Rochester found that people who regularly spend time in chosen solitude show measurably higher scores in self-awareness, emotional regulation, and what psychologists call interoceptive accuracy. Plain English, they know what they feel, why they feel it, and what to do about it with more precision than people who rarely choose to be alone. That is the neurological upside of a nervous system calibrated for stillness. But there is a line. The brain that finds home restorative uses solitude as a resource. The brain that finds leaving genuinely threatening uses home as a defense. One is a nervous system getting what it needs. The other is an amygdala that has learned the outside world is dangerous and is using home to avoid ever testing whether that belief is still true. The difference is not in how much you love being home. It is in what happens in your body when you imagine leaving. The neurological cost-benefit calculation your brain runs when it prefers home is not a character flaw. But when that calculation is being run by an amygdala that has never been shown evidence that the outside world is safe, it stops being a preference. It becomes a loop. And that loop has a measurable cost. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that chronic avoidance of social environments, regardless of introversion level, is associated with a 29% reduction in perceived life satisfaction over a 5-year period. Not because socializing is inherently good, because the act of choosing not to engage, when the choice is driven by fear rather than preference, gradually narrows the world the brain believes is safe. Preferring home because it restores you, that is a nervous system working correctly. Staying home because leaving feels impossible, that is a nervous system that needs a different kind of attention. And the reason most people never identify which side of that line they're on is because both feel exactly the same from the inside. Not a personality quiz, not a 30-day challenge. One question. When you turn down a social invitation, where do you feel it in your body? If the answer is relief, a quiet settling in the chest, a sense of space opening up, that's your nervous system returning to its optimal state. That is preference. If the answer is heaviness, a low dread that doesn't fully lift, a sense of something unfinished, that is your amygdala running a threat loop it has never been asked to question. That is avoidance wearing the clothes of preference. 1. Name which one it is. Not to judge it, not to fix it immediately, just to see it clearly. 2. Test the edge once a week. Small. Not a party, not a social obligation. One chosen low-stakes exposure to the outside world. A walk, a coffee, a brief conversation with someone whose company you genuinely value. When your amygdala receives evidence that the outside world did not consume you, the threat loop loses one data point. Over time, preference stays preference, and avoidance loses its grip. There is nothing wrong with a brain that needs stillness to think clearly. There is nothing broken about a nervous system that charges in silence rather than in crowds. The world will keep telling you that you are missing something. Your nervous system already knows that is not true. Most people will watch this and feel relieved. A few will watch it and recognize quietly that the relief they feel is not about permission to stay home. It's about finally having the language to understand why leaving has felt so heavy for so long.